So in an age where video game adaptations, a lot of the time I'd like to say are a hit or a miss. Most times out of 10, they are a very big miss, with the exception of, in my opinion, The Last of Us. I'm up to episode 2 on season 2. I know what's coming. I know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm ready for it, but I have to put myself through it. And like I said, I think The Last of Us is the prime example of taking some damn good video games and adapting them in a way where they can be grounded, real, thought-provoking. But then everything else, you have a lot of clusterfuck films when they try and adapt a video game or take something that is so good, has so much potential, and it just becomes absolutely nothing. With that being said, let's review Until Dawn. Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. So this is just going to be a cheeky, quick little movie review for Until Dawn, based on the video game. So let me be upfront, I have not played the video game, but I was in good company last night with my dear friend Joshy, who some of you may remember as Crank from our Uncharted fan film, Uncharted: The Oxus Redemption. So Joshy's a streamer, he's a video game aficionado, so the dude is well versed in video games. So he was kind of my go-to, he was my consultant last night. So it was very helpful to have that, because again, this is, I wouldn't even say based on the games. It is so far removed from what I have read, because I want to do my research going into this. So apparently the setting has changed, the characters have changed. There are things and elements that they have added into the film that don't exist in the game, stuff that I actually appreciated. So we have the character of Clover, who takes her friends up to what is originally a house, but it's a guest house this time around, to try and find answers in regards to her missing sister. And then they find themselves in a time loop very much akin to Live, Die Tomorrow, Edge of Tomorrow, whatever you want to call it. If they get killed, they start again. The hourglass resets. And I appreciated that, but at the same time, you had something with so much potential, especially reading into what the game consisted of. They had the blueprint right there. They could have just done a copy and paste, but also it's like when you copy your mate's homework in high school and they said, just change it a bit so the teacher won't notice. Obviously, there are elements that wouldn't translate well to screen, but they had it all there. And just from what I saw, apart from the time loop stuff, it was a very lackluster, run-of-the-mill, and just in-the-middle video game adaptation. And I say that loosely because the adaptation isn't on par at all. Again, from someone who hasn't played the games but wanted to read up on it, a lot of people expressing their concerns when the first trailer came out, doing more reading. And the opening of the Wikipedia sums it up perfectly. It's derived from the 2015 video game, set in the same universe and featuring an original standalone story that expands upon the game series mythology. The film was directed by David F. Sandberg. So this is the dude that did Shazam and Shazam: Fury of the Gods. We've got Gary Dauberman on writing duties, as well as Blair Butler. Now, Gary had his hand in writing some of the Annabelle films, whereas Blair Butler, she's a comedian by trade, which kind of makes sense because there are comedic elements in this film when it comes to our group of meat sacks. Now, what I love about this film is the time loop stuff. I wanted them to explore more of that. I love when they had fun with it, especially when it came to the gore effects of how some of these characters are killed and then they are reset and they have to start again. Again, very much like a game, which I appreciated. When it came to the gore effects, they were great, some brilliantly imaginative kills. I just think the pacing, the dialogue, and the ending were just absolutely lackluster, especially when it came to the ending. I feel like David F. Sandberg, the writers, the crew, they had no idea how to properly wrap this up, and it just felt very abrupt. You've also got character actor Peter Stormare, who I think was in the original game. I could be wrong, I read that somewhere. It was just a waste of a very good character actor. You see him at the beginning of the film, you see him at the end of the film, and again, his talents were just wasted. Like I said, guys, I want to keep this one as quick and as painless as possible. So despite not had playing the game, Until Dawn just came off as a middle-of-the-road horror film based on a pre-existing IP. The more I read into the game, the filmmakers had it all laid out in front of them to make something that would be pretty unique and cinematic, as that was supposedly the main draw card with the game, just how cinematic it was, much akin to Uncharted, and look how that film turned out. The time loop stuff I really dug, and I wanted to see them play more in that particular sandbox as it harkens back to Edge of Tomorrow and stuff like that. But it reaches the climax, it seemingly runs out of steam. The climax definitely does play out like the last stage of a video game where you've acquired all your skills, and I appreciated that from the way they framed it and the way the action played out. Like I said, thank fuck I had Josh there, there because there are a few Easter eggs that popped up and Josh would lean over and be like, oh, like that's from the game, that's from the game. And, you know, there was one particular Easter egg that a lot of people in the cinema were like, I'm glad they threw that in. So that's cool to see. There's some really interesting and disturbing visuals that involve cell phone footage that conveniently has the same video quality as an ARRI Alexa camera. I hate it when they do that. I think it's more terrifying where the cell phone footage is so grainy and pixelated. Even though it was so clear, the stuff that we saw on the cell phone footage was damn creepy, and I appreciated that. Also, some really gnarly gore and kills aside, I'd save your dollary dues with this one and wait for it to hit streaming if you're that desperate, especially if you're a fan of the game, you just want to see how things played out and compare the pair. And with that, I'm going to be giving Until Dawn 2.5 hourglasses out of 5. So guys, if you are a hardcore fan of Until Dawn and you've checked it out, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Josh and I were talking on the train last night when we were heading home. And again, not everything can translate from a game to live action, whether it be film, television. But from what I've read with this game, they had it all laid out, ready to go. It sounded quite cinematic. I actually want to go watch some gameplay footage because again, the ending had it. It had the potential. It felt like the last stage of a video game and everything else just fell by the wayside. Regardless of that, love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.